What up YouTube, it's Dandin. Just making this video in response to a couple different things. One, I had a request to make a video for self-buffing for the Enchanter class in EverQuest 1. And as you can see by the frame rate in the top left corner, that little yellow number there, I'm kind of suffering a little bit here from recording. I'm still playing with the software a little bit, still on my laptop, and trying to figure out how to make this frame rate increase by recording. So if you guys have any better ideas with the computer that I have right now, I can't really do this kind of combat tactics as well as I would like. So in the last video there, Visor had said that he didn't understand how frame rate could affect charming. Well, if I'm not getting a maximum frame rate, or I'm only getting 6 or 7 frames per second when my average is 30, I don't actually see the mob's hit points drop as well as they should be. Now, that being said, I chose not to have as many pets, and I chose not to give them haste because I was consistently losing pets with the lower frame rate. That being said, everything else worked out the way that I wanted to. I just basically wanted to show the tactic. Now, I'm in the guild hall right now, just going to do a quick little self-buff video and show you guys how to properly buff your Enchanter for general purpose uses, and I'll go over a couple different things here. But I do plan on making more videos, either by getting myself a better PC so I can record better. This is a laptop with an AMD video card, so I'm definitely suffering by that. Like, you can just tell by me looking around that it's really hurting me. So I'm going to kill Fraps here so I don't have this frames per second thing over my shoulder. Essentially, to self-buff your Enchanter properly, you want to have your runes stacked up as nice as you possibly can, and you want to have as much statistical benefit as possible. Now, as you can see here by my spell bar, I've got my self-buff set already loaded. So we'll start off with Ward of the Mastermind, Brimstone Eminence, Phantasmal Unity, Shield of Fate, which I don't have rank 2 of yet, I'm failing, Legion of Zorb, and Aegeus of the Keeper. These are Vi runes, so they'll kind of protect you from spell damage a little bit, but they only take a percentage. I'll go over those a little bit more as we go. Shield of the Dauntless for hit points and AC, Haste, C, Mana Storm, which again I'll go over in a minute, and a couple auras that I keep up here for regenning purposes, because usually the only time I have to do a full self buff is after I die. So I have the Mana Regen aura and Twin Cast auras up. In this state, Dandin is at his weakest. I don't have any combat abilities available to rescue me. If a mob comes in, the only thing that I can rely on are these two here for mezzes, and then I have to flip out of spell set, but I will explain that in a second. So first things first, we want to do the following. We want to keep our Ward of the Mastermind up. This is lovely. This spell will mez anything that hits you, or has a chance to. Now, with this, I'll just pull this up here, has a chance to mez anything that hits you, causing them to, not attack for a little bit. So that's lovely, although there's a couple instances you don't want to use this, and I'll kind of go over that. If you're pet tanking, or using a pet as a primary form of tanking, you don't want to use this, because if the mob breaks free and comes and smacks you, the pet's going to disengage because of mez. So that you just gotta watch that. If you're using a pet tank or anything like that, you don't want to have this up. So then we can begin by rune stacking. So then we go Veil of Mind Shadow, which is a Vi rune. I don't really know the exact hit points on it or whatever, for example. So basically what a Vi rune is, it absorbs a percentage of incoming damage. Not all of it, but incoming damage up to a certain point, and then it fades. So basically this buff will make your runes last longer, and when your runes do eventually break, it's going to soften the hits that are coming in so that you're not getting one-rounded. So then we start by rune stacking, and basically what I do is this. The 2.0 rune, that's next. This is a 1800 point rune. It's not a big rune. It's not gonna be the one that saves you, but what it can do for you is, let's say you get unneeded aggro and this thing comes and smacks you. The 2.0 rune from this staff here, I'll pull it up, basically causes a mob to lose hate or have a reduction of hate on you whenever the rune fades. So that's nice. Now, this is a point blank AoE effect of Mez, so I kind of use this as a guide. So if you look, I'm looking top down, so pretty much for point blank AoE effects, the outer ring here, that's going to be your radius, give or take. It's kind of hard to judge. I don't really, that's kind of the area that I use to determine that. So after that, then you can start it by applying Brimstone Eminence, which is a set hit point reducing, or set hit point rune. The data is on Alakazam, but this is 10.6k rune. It's a short duration one. I don't know if it'll pull it up here when I do this. So the duration on this one is 14 minutes. So unless you're pretty much keeping this on your spell gem during combat, this is going to fade. But that's okay. This is not your money-making rune. It's just a good one to keep up when you self-buff yourself, so that, hey, you got a little extra padding for one round. Then what I do is I hit Phantasmal Unity. And this is a level 100 spell, but you actually start getting these at 90. And these are Unity runes that are combined together, so it'll cast the Poly-Incandescent rune and the Mastermind's runes. These runes do not consume Paradots, and they are actually your biggest runes. It's a common misconception by chanters that the runes that take up Paradots are actually our biggest runes. That's not the case in this way at all. So basically, you've got your runes all stacked now. You can keep up. Next, you go for Shield of Fate. Shield of Fate is another Vi type effect, but it's kind of special, and a lot of people don't understand it, so I'll pull up the spell description here. Basically what this does is any hit that is going to be above 10,000 points of damage, it starts affecting the damage points after 10,000. Not before, but after 10,000. So let's say Dandin gets hit for 12k. Instead of getting hit for 12k, I'm going to get hit for like 11. You know, it's just a small reduction. It's not the big, oh, everything's saved. Now, I might have the math on that wrong, so please correct me if I'm wrong on that. There's a thread earlier about it. I got a chance to read about half of it, and then I had to go back to my family outing, so I wasn't able to completely read it. Next things you want are your Aegeus Absorb and your Aegeus of the Keeper. The way that you stack these two do not matter. It's completely irrelevant and up to you. These are your spell damage runes. These are going to help you against AEs, and Aegeus of the Keeper, which is a relatively new spell, is dot damage. So these two runes here, that's for spell and dot damage. Now, we do get group versions of this, but as the fact, like, and you can go ahead and use the group versions for your self-buffing, so you're not only buffing yourself, but you're buffing people in your group also. So I'll kind of go over why I use the self-buff versions. For me, they're faster cast, so I want to be able to self-buff quick and get out of this spell set. I don't feel comfortable really being in this set because I'm kind of open for attack. I guess if a puller's pulling, I don't have all my tools available to me. So I want to get out of this set as quickly as possible. Next thing is Shield of the Dauntless. So Shield of the Dauntless is actually something that as a caster you should keep up all the time, because it gives you more AC and hit points than the Unity buff itself does, like the shield portion of the Unity. So basically what you want to do is hit this and then have a shaman hit you with Unity. You get all the other cool little effects that come with it, but you get your own beneficial version of shield. Now the AC value on this is higher. I'm an AC nut, so I'm going to use this all the time. Now, there's going to be other channels that say, oh, don't use the shield, it's stupid, it's useless because Unity is better, blah, blah, blah. But in a strictly self-buffing situation, you want to be able to use everything that you've got. So then I hit haste and C, and as you can see, I've got the rank 3 versions of these. So Haste and C are, you can again keep your group versions up for this, you know, for Tranquil Blessings or MGB, so you can buff people as you buff yourself. But like I said, I have rank 3 versions of these, so I want the best versions of the spell on myself at all times. And then Mana Storm. I hit Mana Storm on myself purely out of habit. As a Enchanter, a level 90 or below, level 90 is when you get this. This stuff does not affect a player that's above level 90. So by keeping this on me, it's kind of not necessary. Like, it doesn't affect anything for me, really. But I do it purely out of habit, and because the fact there are lots of times I group with people that are below 90, whatever casters that are below 90 are going to love it. And basically, I'm going to pull up my bags here and kind of obscure the rest of my UI here. They work, where the hell are they? They work essentially the same as these Tonic of Resonance Elemental. So these tonics are what you actually should be using in a perfect world. They're kind of the same, they're the same buff slot. But for me, I like to fill up all my buff slots as possible as a way to remind myself. So I'm going to click one of these right now, and it'll overwrite and it'll land. So that being said, there we go. So we got my Tonic of Resonant Elemental, so my damage is as best as possible right now. There's not a lot of other proccing effects I can give myself. Now, we're done self-buffing. I can get out of this, but I'm in the guild hall. I'm not really in any danger of attack. So now we can start by doing our clickies, and like I said, everybody has different clickies. I have a variety of different clickies here. Oh, fuck. I have a variety of different clickies that do different things, and some people like to use their clickies to buff pad themselves or whatever before they get buffs. I personally like having my runes up front so I can watch them. I know where they're at and blah blah blah. It's all fun and games. A lot of these buffs, like these last 3 here, are just for looks. Like the main ones that I have here are these. Now I'm gonna go over something that a lot of people don't really talk about, and that's the Station Cache Illusions. The Station Cache Illusions have some pretty cool buffs on them, and they have some really neat ones. I'm an AC nut, so I'm going to put my familiar up. I'm an AC nut, so I use the staff of the steam suit staff. So pretty much this turns me into a steam suit. Okay, this is really large and annoying, so I can just click this buff off, and now I can use any illusion I want, but I still get this buff here. This is actually a 42 AC increaser. Oh, we got some people coming in here. So this is a 42 AC increaser. It's lovely. For me, I like having AC. I like having my stats as high as possible for damage reduction because I don't like dying personally, and that's kind of how it goes. Now, I'm going to kind of address a couple little things here while I finish my clickies. One, there was a post earlier on in the forums about how it's good to switch your spells and stuff, and there's a couple things that people don't really realize. You can very, very much and very easily make spell sets, and spell sets are loaded like this. Like, I've got a swack load of them. So you can either do this and like mem them by right clicking and whatever, and as you can see, I can like be running around in combat whatever and flip my spell sets. So, but another thing you can do is you can make a hotkey to switch, and that is literally like this. So /mem spell set space name. So you can literally just make a hot bar. I have all my spell sets on a bar right beside my spells. I've also got a lot of comments on my UI. If you don't like it, that's okay for you, I guess. For me, I like it because I'm not a big fan of waiting for patch days to have people, you know, update their UIs and whatever. I just want to get on and play and whatever else. So in terms of that, it's all good. So I can easily flip really fast into my combat set. Like, it's already loading my combat set, and there's a couple little things you can do with this. Now, my spell book is not organized. As you can see, I don't care. I used to have it organized, and then, you know, I had holes here, there, whatever. And then when I realized what the next trick, when I figured out the next trick that I'm going to show you here, I just stopped caring and throwing everything in my book. So here's my combat set here. We'll go over that in a bit. And pretty much to mem a spell, like as you can see, I'm standing right now. Just right click it again, and you can literally be running around in combat, casting, doing whatever, and you can like pick any spell that you have. All you need to know where it's under. So auras, create item, damage over time, stuff like that. All you need to know is where it is in this list, and you can literally click or whatever, find the spell that you want. You sit down, mem it for a second, and oh, guess what? You're back up. You're in action. You're ready to go. You've got everything under control. Another cool little trick I'll show you is being smart about your spell sets, like keeping things together. So you can have, like, I have a combat spell set, so my DPS setup, the best setup that I have for DPS and keeping everything under control, and I kind of make variants of this kind of general setup as to how I work. So then I can flip out and then go to like combat buff, which is going to strip out some of my you know, non-important spells like my nukes and stuff like that, like, but it's going to keep up my basics. It's going to keep up everything that I need to stay alive in that sense. Oh, I didn't update this mez in this one. That's okay. I'll fix that later. But as you can see, it strips my nukes and puts my buffs up for, you know, myself, the most crucial buffs. So I've got Ward, Unity, Haste, C, and Mana Storm, but I will be stripping this one out and putting in a group rune. So, you know, I got a bunch of different ones. I got low buffs, pulling, stun, solo, buffs, stuff like that. So these will allow me to switch into my really super spell sets and whatever. Now it's possible to save more than 10 now. You're not limited to 10 anymore. You used to be able to, but as you can see, I've got 10 sets here because there's 12 hot buttons in a bar, and I've actually got more than 10 sets. This is just a little change that they kind of snuck in and people didn't really notice or realize. But you can have more than 10. I think I haven't maxed it out because I honestly, for me, my combat set covers me in pretty much every way possible. But you can have, I think you can have up to 20 is what a mage friend of mine said. But again, that's not proven. I would have to go and make 20 sets to try that out. But like just by, you know, keeping a baseline set, so like I have a baseline set for everything, and it pretty much just like modifies that set to what I want to be doing in that given sense. So, you know, my pull setup, for example. So if I want to be pulling, you know, I'll be making a pull video here in a bit, teaching enchanters how to pull. But like, I can literally switch my role in a couple seconds just by rememming my spell sets. Like, you know, just a quick second for downtime, and then I'm good to go. But you know, it's very possible. You know, hey, I'm in a raid. There's a mob that's gonna be AEing a ton here, so I can drop like one of my aura slots here and mem a rune or whatever, and be able to be up and at it, still following emotes, still whatever, not sitting here like this, kind of. Oh yeah, okay, I gotta find that spell. Where is it? Oh, I think this is the one I want. Then click, click. You know, like, that's too many actions. That's not efficient. Blah blah blah. Who cares? Just right click, find it here. You know, whatever. Find what you want to do, and then oh, okay, up. You're good. Like, there you go. I mean, it's all up to preference. I personally think that the right click method is a good way to quickly swap your spells out. You can change out this entire bar really fast with the use of a hotkey like this, or you can just, you know, right click your spell book, find it, whatever. I like having my ready spells at the go. Like, for me, my most important spells are these three here. single target mez, AE mez, and stare. Stare is bound to my mouse, so all I have to do is click, click, it'll fire, you know. And for me, that's crucial. Um, Being able to quickly adapt to any situation is going to make you a better chanter. Doing research about a named mob before you go and fight it is going to make you a better chanter. And just like taking tactics from other people and adapting it for yourself. I mean, like you might take a look at Visor's tactic there on the boards, like, hey, yeah, that works for me. You might take a page from my book and, you know, take my tactic and apply the 2 pets and, you know, give them wondrous rapidity because you're not recording and you're not chugging away on frame rate or whatever. For me, I just wanted to show the tactic. I didn't want to be like, hey, you know, this is a good XP return. I just kind of wanted to display a couple things about the chanter class. Now, in terms of like little tips and tricks for chanters, is there anything else that, you know, you as an enchanter, what do you struggle with? Like, is it DPS? Do you have issues blasting off some damage when you want to do some damage? Do you have problems, you know, what are the best debuffs to use? Like, you know, we're primarily a utility class, so like how can I be helping people around me? Like, what is it that I can help with? I mean, my video quality won't be amazing until I get myself a better machine, I think, but I can definitely sit here and give tips, tricks, whatever. Here's another quick trick. Clockwork automaton, get one. Love it. Oh look, it summons me a mini me. Now I can run around and go scout stuff. There's also tons of other usages for this, but I will cover those in a later video because I don't really want to get into that right now. But you know, being able to scout and look around from a safe distance and still be able to cast, like, look, I can cast and still be able to move around and whatever else. I can be looking elsewhere. Like, what if there's a mystical named mob in the pool here, but I'm fighting? Like, I can still do that, you know. So just being able to scout and look around is fun. Now, I always recommend playing in third person because for me it's easier to see, and it's just kind of how it works, and I like it like that. So I can be able to see. I mean, I've heard lots of comments about my UI and how it's horrible and blah blah blah, but this is what works for me. So if you don't like my UI, I'm not saying like, here's my UI file, download it, it's the best ever. Like, for me, this is what works. I like having everything kind of at my fingertips. These are all bound to keys, these are all bound to keys, these are DPS, these are defensives, these are clickies, these are clickies, these are spell clickies. Like, for me, that's just what works, like being able to have it all on hand quickly to react, right? But hey, you know, I'm not saying go download my UI. In fact, like, you probably won't want to. It's not what works for you. But anyways, that's my self-buff video on how to accurately stack your runes for the most damage return possible. For you younger chanters that are not level 100, don't fret, as I'll show you here, if I can pull it up between the leg. So for runes, like, as you see, at 100 you get this line here. At like 95, it's all the same. Like, it just literally, the names change. They're the same thing. Like 95 you get Arcane Unity, 90 you get Spectral Unity. Same thing, right? But for you sub 90s, right? Spectral Rune and Polyarchaic Rune is the same. It's literally just your 2 yellow self-only runes. It's us at 90 plus that we get the Unity rune. So don't fret. Like, it's the same idea, you know. Even with where's my ward? Combatimates. So same thing, right? Like, you get it at 75, Ward of Befuddlement, right? 80, Ward. That's all you need to remember, right? And even have the same spell icons. Like, it's great. Now, in terms of, you know, what we get for all sorts of different things, like, the concept is the same, right? Like you want your brimstone line, you want your unity rune or poly rune and spectral rune if you're lower level, right? Just carry those down and just look at your spells. Like, what do you have? Same basic idea, just different names. Like in terms of self buffs, the only thing new chanters have gotten recently is the Shield of Fate and the Keeper rune, the Jace of the Keeper. That's Call of the Forsaken. That's brand new. But other than that, everything else is standard. Like, it goes back all the way down to 75, as you can see. So I mean, you can start self-buffing your chanter properly at that level. And I promise, like, rune stacking will save you. If you understand how to use your runes properly, you will die a lot less. Because we're essentially a caster class that has to learn to absorb damage because we're gonna get hit. If you mez something and it fails, it's coming at you. You gotta deal with it, right? So you gotta learn to expect damage and absorb it, not be afraid of it. Like, don't be afraid of getting hit as an enchanter. Actually, in terms of stats, statistics, I'll pull up my inventory here and probably get flamed for it. But statistically, I like AC, and I also like heroic agility and intelligence. So for us as casters, it's been said by the devs that anything above 1000 AC worn doesn't affect us, but we get like 10% of whatever AC above 1000. So this number here, the 7000 whatever, that's actually deceiving, and it's actually quite low for level 100 chanter. Actually, my gear is kind of not the greatest. I'm in VOA raid gear with a couple nice pieces of the new tier 1 Call of the Forsaken stuff. Now, there is an exception to this, and that's the secondary slot. Secondary slot, you get 100% of the AC return in your shield slot. So what you want to do, if you're using a shield, and I'll go over that in a second, if you're using a shield, you want to put your biggest AC AUG in your secondary slot, because it's not affected by the cap. So let's say I had no gear on at all except my shield. I would get AC up 1000 AC plus this AC value in my secondary. And then everything else above here, 10% if all that AC gets added onto this. So mathematically speaking, in order for a chanter to have the same AC value as a knight, we need like 16k, I think, 16,000 AC, which is a ridiculous number. But statistically, heroic agility improves your chance to dodge, and it's affected in factors of 5. So if you get 5 more heroic agility, it's like 0.1% chance to dodge. So dodging a blow or whatever is more important than absorbing it. Because if you don't get hit at all, that's 0 damage. If you're absorbing it, that's a percentage of the incoming damage. So heroic agility is money for enchanters. Then after that I go heroic intelligence for my mana pool, which again is quite small for an enchanter. I'm not that well geared, but heroic intelligence for mana, because I chug mana down pretty good. And then I go spell damage. I'll go to my stats page. Spell damage is important for us, and yeah, I mean, it's not like my stats aren't anything impressive, but as you can see by my heroics, like, these are what I pay attention to. Like, heroic agility and intelligence are my highest ones. Another thing I want to touch on, heroic charisma does nothing. Like, it's basically at this point because I get it from gear, and it doesn't do me any good. So just pay attention to those gear values when you're gearing your chanter, and in my opinion, you'll do good. Oh, I was going to touch on shields. As a caster, up until level 91, you want to be using a primary and a secondary, because with shield blockades, you'll actually get a higher dodge amount. At 91 plus, you start getting the staff block AAs, and staff block AAs, when they're maxed out, are actually superior to sword and board. or sword and staff, whatever you want to call it. So that's why I'm using a two-hander, because blocking for me is important. Someone parsed it out in the forums, and just kind of going off what is off the top of my head, because I don't have the numbers exactly, but they said it was like a 16% chance to dodge off a combat dummy, which I don't know. I haven't parsed it myself. Their numbers are out there on the forums, guys. Like, go take a look for yourself. But the undeniable proof is that two-handed weapons are superior to sword and board for casters above 91 with the right AAs. And that's probably where I'm going to end off this video, self-buffing and important stats there. Essentially, just kind of do the research yourself, do your homework, and you'll definitely become a better chanter. A lot of you guys have been asking me for more hotkeys, more abilities that we can do that are kind of cool when pooled together. Like, I have a DPS hotkey, which I'll pull up right now as a final little gift to you, and this will pop all your burns. The only thing that this won't pop is Illusions of Grandeur, and I keep that. Oh, it might actually. No, it does. It does pop Illusion of Grandeur. It doesn't pop Chromatic Haze, and I keep Chromatic Haze separate because you need to be able to pay attention to when that is, because if I pop my burns and then, you know, fire off a low nuke first, Chromatic Haze isn't going to give me the benefit as much, because you want to hit Chromatic Haze and then hit your biggest nuke. But again, I'll go into that in another video because I'm starting to ramble here. But anyways, guys, post on the forums. Let me know, what do you want to see. Like, in terms of combat videos, I'm kind of limited as to my hardware right now. As you can see, I'm kind of having issues right now to get an accurate representation of my screen. So pretty much, let me know what you want to see. Do you want to know how to, you know, do you want to learn how to pull? Do you want to learn how to tank? Do you want to learn how to DPS? To you know, just let me know what you want to see, and I will deliver. All right, Dandin out.